Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you our top games of Week 1 and sharing our predictions for these Week 1 games as we are finally kicking off the college football season. And while these slate of games up here, and really the entire slate of games for this weekend, are not nearly as exciting as we have seen in recent years, these games should still pique your interest. And these games are still very capable of being very exciting for this opening week of college football. So we're going to take a look at what we believe to be the top 4 games going into this Labor Day weekend. And again, there weren't that many. There really were not that many games being played, period. Most of those will start to pick up in Week 2. But we have to start with Week 1. And we'll start up here at the top with Middle Tennessee traveling to Army. A very intriguing matchup, guys, and one of the earlier matchups on this Saturday afternoon. This is a battle between a Black Knight squad and a Blue Raiders squad, both of which are coming off very disappointing 2019 campaigns. And we'll start with the Blue Raiders of Middle Tennessee. They are coming off their first losing season since 2011. This was not a very characteristic Rick Stockstill team out of Murfreesboro, guys. Middle Tennessee really failed to live up to their expectations, usually a perennial bowl team, and I do believe that the Blue Raiders have the talent to get back to the postseason and maybe contend a little bit within the Conference USA in 2020. Army, on the other hand, saw their bowl streak come to an end. The Black Knights had made 3 straight bowl games, the longest streak in program history, and fell short of that goal last year, going 5-8. So you look at the Black Knights, guys, again, they lose a lot of starters on their offensive side of the ball and are now bringing in a new quarterback in Jabari Laws, who did have playing experience last year. I think that's something that we need to keep in mind, is that Laws did play for the Black Knights quite a bit last year, I should say. He had quite a bit of game experience and should be able to run that option offense that is always so dangerous to stop and was the 3rd best rushing offense in the country last year, as Army averaged 297.2 rushing yards per game. The key is this. Obviously, can Middle Tennessee, who only returns 3 starters on the defensive side of the ball, can they stop Army's option offense? And can their quarterback, Asher O'Hara, obviously stay healthy and make some good decisions? Asher O'Hara, alone, by himself, accounted for over 300 yards of offense per game last year, had 29 touchdowns on the year. How will he fare against an Army defense that returns 7 starters and has talent at every single position? I like this game in favor of the Black Knights. I think Jeff Monken and his squad kick off 2020 with a solid win. Army has a complete full schedule for this 2020 season, a year that I do think they will return to the postseason. So Army kicking off the year with a close victory over Middle Tennessee. CBS Sports Network going to get this one. It should be a very fun one out at West Point. Below them, we have one that's not really all that exciting, but an interstate rivalry, if you want to call it that, between SMU and Texas State. Now, last year's meeting between the Mustangs and the Bobcats was not one to get excited about. Only reason you'd really care about this game is if you're a fan of either team or you bet on it, just like we did last year. And SMU came through clutch last year. They covered the spread and won by 30 points, defeating the Bobcats 47-17. And SMU has a fantastic fantastic chance to do that again this year. They averaged over 41 points per game in 2019, and the major reason for that was their quarterback in Shane Buechele. He is back with one of his top wide receivers in Reggie Roberson. Sonny Dykes, of course, is back as head coach with the Mustangs, and they are serious contenders, guys, for an American Athletic Conference crown in 2020. Of course, you have other teams ahead of them, Memphis, Cincinnati, Central Florida, but SMU is right in the middle of that contention right there. It starts here with a road game at Texas State, a game where they will be led by their second-year head coach, Jake Spavital, and a year for Texas State that I think will go absolutely horrible. It will go down as one of the worst in program history. We don't have the Bobcats winning a single game. The schedule simply is too tough. And I look at Texas State here. While they do only return 9 starters. I do know they return and bring in a lot of key transfers. To me, that's not going to be enough, especially when one of those key transfers is Memphis transfer quarterback Brady McBride, who will be making his first start with the Bobcats this Saturday against the Mustangs. SMU's defense is not one to necessarily brag about, but they're not one that's going to get torched by a Texas State team that, to me, is still trying to find their identity and still just trying to salvage their football program, one that has won 3 games or less in each of the past 5 seasons. Below them, guys, we have what are arguably the top 2 games of this opening weekend. You've got your primetime Saturday night game right here between Arkansas State and Memphis. And if you're not a big fan of college football, or maybe you are, you might not know that Arkansas State and Memphis are pretty big rivals. And this rivalry is being renewed this year, guys. This will be the first meeting between the Red Wolves and the Tigers since 2013. And they luckily have some home-and-home games scheduled between now and about 2023. So the rivalry is renewed. It's not going anywhere for a little while. And it should be a fantastic matchup down at the Liberty Bowl. And we start with Memphis here, guys. Of course, they're going to be the heavy favorite in this one. We do predict Memphis to win this game, but I don't think it's going to be by as many points as people think. The Tigers' biggest storylines to come out of this offseason for them were, yes, losing their head coach Mike Norvell to Florida State. Now Ryan Silverfield, who coached the team in the Cotton Bowl against Penn State, is now the head man for the Tigers, and I thought it was a fantastic job and a fantastic hire by the Memphis administration to promote from within. So Ryan Silverfield really making his debut for Memphis in his first game as the full-time head coach of the Tigers. But the bigger news to come out of Memphis is that their star quarterback, Kenneth Gainwell, who rushed for over 1,400 yards last year, has chosen to opt out amid coronavirus concerns. So a Memphis offense that had the triple threat with Brady White at quarterback, Kenneth Gainwell at running back, and DeMonte Coxey at wide receiver has now been taken away. You take out Gainwell, and now you just got a dynamic duo of Brady White and Coxey. That should be good enough to defeat Arkansas State with a defense that was one of the worst in the country last year. Allowed over 34 points per game, allowed nearly 500 yards per game, and like Middle Tennessee, only returns 3 starters on that side of the ball and will have to rely on a lot of transfers that haven't had a lot of time to really adjust to Blake Anderson and this Arkansas State team. When you look at the Red Wolves, we know they've got 2 capable quarterbacks in Logan Bonner and Lane Hatcher. Blake Anderson announcing that Logan Bonner would win the starting job going into this Memphis game, but that Lane Hatcher would see the field at some point at Memphis. And while they are losing their top 2 wide receivers in Kirk Merritt and Omar Bayless, Jonathan Adams steps in, and the Red Wolves are hoping to find a little more balance by utilizing Marcel Murray at the running back position. So this is a game between 2 fantastic offenses, guys. It should be a shootout at the Liberty Bowl. And as we always say, in shootouts, who owns the edge? It's the team with the better defense. And that team is going to be Memphis. A defense that returned 6 starters, a defense that made an underrated hire in hiring Mike McIntyre, the former Colorado head coach, as their new defensive coordinator. So Memphis wins the game at the Liberty Bowl against their rival Arkansas State, but it's closer than people think. And then finally, we have our final game of Week 1, the literal final game of Week 1, BYU at Navy, being played on Labor Day Monday night. They will conclude Week 1 of college football. And as you can see, obviously, not a single ranked team will be playing on opening weekend. That is unfortunate. No ranked teams are playing, no ranked versus ranked matchups, really no big neutral site matchups that we can get excited about. But this BYU Navy game is one that you can, in fact, get excited about. It should be a very, very fun game. Now, I'll explain why. We're going to start with the Cougars here, coming all the way over from Provo, all the way out east to Annapolis. You start with BYU, and they obviously own the quarterback edge. BYU owns the quarterback edge with Zach Wilson, who played extremely well last year. And if he doesn't get that starting job, if he does not get to play or goes down, whatever, you've got plenty of other backup quarterbacks such as Baylor Romney and others that will play extremely well for BYU. They own that quarterback edge because Navy loses their star quarterback in Malcolm Perry, who rushed for over 2,000 yards last year for the midshipmen. Perry is gone, which means Navy has to find themselves a new QB. More than likely will be Perry Olsen. So BYU owns that quarterback edge here. But I believe Navy owns that defensive edge. while both teams return about 7 starters on the offensive side of the ball, they both should be very experienced. I certainly think that Navy is a little bit more physical, and I do think that Navy's secondary is much stronger than BYU's. Although the Cougars won't have to worry too much about defending the pass, considering that Navy's offense was number 1 in the country last year when it came to rushing yards per game, averaging 360.5 rushing yards per game in 2019. Of course, that would be expected when you have a team like Navy that runs the triple option, just like Army does, just like Air Force does. All of those military academies very similar there. The question is, will Navy be able to run their offense as effectively as they have in years past without Malcolm Perry? I believe they do. Perry Olsen has been in the system. Every quarterback that Navy has, maybe they don't go with Perry Olsen on Monday. Every quarterback that Navy has experience within the system. Maybe not as a starter, but they have played and they have been through the practice and they know exactly what they're doing. Another thing you have to keep in mind here is that when you face a team like Navy or Army, you don't have many offensive possessions, because when they run the ball that much and take up a lot of time off the clock, it doesn't leave you that much time on offense to go down there and score. BYU's offense is not one of the most electric in the country. They're not one that's going to really score in 1 or 2 plays. So to me, I look at this. Navy's going to own the time of possession without a doubt. Their defense, I think, has the slight edge over BYU's defense. And I don't think BYU's offense is one that's going to be able to rack up a lot of points to the point where if Navy is playing from behind, they're going to end up forcing the midshipmen to throw the ball more. If that's the case, BYU wins. I just don't think the Cougars are able to do that. So I think in a relatively low-scoring game on Monday night, the midshipmen come out with a very narrow victory over the Cougars in a game that very well could be the best of this opening weekend. But in the end, it is going to be the midshipmen who make enough big plays defensively and surprise some people with their new quarterback that sent Kalani Sitake and the Cougars back west with a loss to kick off their season. So guys, there you have it. Usually we have 5 games up here on the board, and we will have 5 games up here next week for our weekly predictions. But right now you have 4 very intriguing games, guys. 4 games between really 8 teams up here that you might not watch on any other day. On a normal opening weekend, guys, if these had been the games on the slate, you might have overlooked them. You might not even care about them. Now is the opportunity not just to get to watch college football, but it's an opportunity to get to watch and to learn and respect some teams that you might not have paid as much attention to in a normal year. So take advantage of this opportunity. Take advantage of college football being back. Take advantage of this long weekend. Take advantage of the opportunity to learn and soak up more college football knowledge, because it is back and it is here to stay. We are in for a full season, guys, and it's really going to get going next week in week 2 as we start to see some of our first Power 5 conferences take the field. But as for now, Army, SMU, Memphis, Navy, all winning our biggest games of week 1, and we've got plenty of more analysis on our game of the week coming soon. And then, of course, we'll have everything to recap for you at the conclusion of week 1, starting early next week as well. So, guys, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. As always, make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. And check out everything down in the description below, where you can continue to help build our channel by visiting our website, thegridironexpert.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter, our expert picks, our Patreon account for exclusive content, or just contributing on other sites such as PayPal. We appreciate you guys, the diehard college football fans that make the Gridiron Expert what it is today. So make sure to check out everything down in the description below for that. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great, fantastic, and safe, long Labor Day weekend. And we will see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.